Greetings everyone, I'm Marvin Plackett. Today is Tuesday, April 28th. Warm greetings to our residents, staff, and everyone else. Very pleased to say that once again we have no confirmed cases of COVID-19 at Episcopal homes. And that definitely doesn't happen by accident. It takes concerted effort. Earlier today, I had a conversation with a family member whose parents live at the terrace, and he queried me about how can I say this. I'm taking a little bit of liberty with what the conversation was, but basically it all needs to be addressed. Basically queried me, how can I confidently say that we have no cases on our campus? And of course, I'm always cautious to use the word confirmed. The reason is because we can't absolutely know whether or not we have any COVID-19 cases on our campus, because not everybody is being tested, and that was his next question. Do we test everyone? No, we do not give everyone a COVID-19 test. It's not possible. Even if we wanted to do that, let's say we wanted to test all staff every day at the start of their shift. Well, even if we went to the health department and we had a physician right on site, that wouldn't be possible because there aren't enough test kits. So that's not possible. Secondly, even if we could test everyone today, we would have to retest them tomorrow, because anytime a test is given, of course, it's for a moment in time. And one can contract the virus the next hour, the next day, the next week, etc. What we do know is here are some things though that we do every single day. Every person, that includes all staff, that enter our campus every single day, they go through a screen. And that screen involves taking their temperature, and it also involves a series of questions querying them about whether or not they believe they've been exposed to COVID-19, like through a family member or some other situation. So that occurs every single day. That still doesn't, of course, mean that they haven't been exposed, and it doesn't guarantee that. It doesn't guarantee that they don't have COVID-19, but we do go through that screen every day. And of course, as you know, no visitors are allowed on our campus. They haven't been for 6 weeks. So that's also another measure. This we can know. I already said, we can't know whether or not we have a COVID-19 case on our campus at this time or at Episcopal homes in any of our facilities. We can't know that with absolute confidence, but we do know a few things. One is that we know we don't have a whole series of unexplained illnesses on our campus, or we don't have a whole series of illnesses that display the symptoms of COVID-19. We also know we don't have a whole series of unexplained deaths on our campus. And so those obvious indicators we do know, and we are doing all we can. But it gets me back to my the key point that I want to make, and that is that while we cannot know absolutely whether or not we have a case at this time on our campus, what we all can do is play our part. We all can follow the rules that we have in place to reduce the chance that a COVID-19 case will come on our campus, and if it does, that we will be able to restrict the spread. We will limit the spread. And that is by sticking to our communities, sticking to our zones, wearing a mask anytime we're outside of our apartments or our units, staff wearing masks at all times. I did that today, walking here to this meeting. Frequent hand washing, and most importantly, social distancing, staying at least 6 feet apart from one another. So really staying attuned and being vigilant with those measures absolutely plays a vital role in us staying safe here on our campus. And of course, that's our primary measure, is keeping everyone safe, living, yes, in this new world, finding creative ways to connect, finding creative ways to still live a full life, and we're always learning and growing in that regard. And doing all of that while we're staying safe. So I'm grateful for that conversation that I had this morning with the gentleman from California whose parents are at the terrace. because it just reminded me I need to have this conversation with all of you. We've had this conversation in bits and pieces in the past, but not in a more comprehensive way, and I wanted to talk about that. The issue of screening, the issue of testing, etc. There's only so much we can do, and we believe we are doing all that we can at this time. As we learn more, we'll do more, okay? So stay tuned. I'd like to end my little talk with a poem today. April is National Poetry Month. You may well have known that. So April is Natural Poetry Month, but April 2020 has been like no other before. Because of coronavirus, poets are sheltering indoors like the rest of us, which got us wondering if it's possible to be creative or poetic with a pandemic going on. Turns out the answer is yes. We asked 10 poets to share what they've been working on. In this collection, the poets each address life navigating the coronavirus and the extreme cultural shifts we're all dealing with right now. I'm just going to read one of the poems. This poem is from Charles Koo. Love in the Time of Corona. In ancient Greece, men shook hands as a demonstration of good faith to show they weren't armed. In these days of fever and fear, we keep our distance, resist the timeless call of flesh to flesh. But the time will come again to take the stranger's hand, embrace a friend, share a kiss. Until then, our cries for human touch are dispatches from separate battlefields. Tied to passenger pigeons, we release into the restless night. Thank you, Charles Koo. Wishing you all a good afternoon, and I will see you tomorrow afternoon at 1:30. And now, some words from Phil Rose.
Thank you, Marvin. You mentioning that there were 10 poems. There was once a time when I saw a pun contest, and I decided to enter this pun contest, and I sent in 10 puns. And I really love puns, so I thought for sure that one of my 10 puns would win, but no pun intended. Okay, so anyway, I have a creative writing piece here as well, and mine is a conversation in the future. A child. How old are you, Grandpa? I'm 81 years old, dear. So does that mean that you were alive during the coronavirus? Yes, I was. Wow, that must have been horrible, Grandpa. We were just learning about it at school this week. They told us about how all the schools had closed and moms and dads couldn't go to work, so they didn't have as much money to do the nice things that we like to do. They said that you weren't allowed to go and visit your friends and family couldn't go out anywhere. They told us that shops and stores ran out of things like toilet paper and rice. They said that summer holidays were canceled, and they told us about all the thousands of people that got very sick and who died. They explained how hard all the doctors and nurses and all the essential workers worked hard, and lots of them died too. That must have been horrible, Grandpa. And Grandpa says, well, all of that is correct. And I know that because I read about it when I got older. But to tell you the truth, I remember it differently. I remember playing in the garden for hours with my mom and dad and having picnics outside and barbecues. I remember making things and fishing with my dad and baking with my mom. I remember making forts and learning how to do handstands and backflips. I remember having quality time with my family. I remember my mom's favorite words being, hey, I've got an idea, rather than maybe later or tomorrow, I'm too busy. I remember making our own bread and pastry. I remember having movie nights 3 or 4 times a week instead of just one. It was a horrible time, and for lots of people you are right, but I remember it differently. So remember that our children and our grandchildren and our future great-grandchildren will remember what this time is like, and may it be a time where they will have happy memories and be able to carry something forward that is a change and something that is positive for humanity. Have a good day and be well.